All right, welcome to the recap show of the Game Time TBA podcast. I'm your host, Bryant Graham, and I got Jared Mack with us this evening. And crazy weekend. Um, Penn State does it again, and that's losing and getting their coach fired.
Not so happy Valley. Because shoot, first off, you start the season off. Well, I won't say you start the season off. You lose to Oregon, which is perfectly acceptable because Oregon's a top five team. They're gonna be a they're gonna be a championship contender. Then you go to the West Coast, you lose to an unranked, winless UCLA team that did not lead for a single minute until the Penn State game. And then you come back home and you lose to Northwestern, another game in which they were favored by 20 plus points. And this is all coming off the year where they went to the playoff last year.
Yeah, and man, Drew Allard the hype. He did not live up to the hype. He just doesn't. He doesn't look like a pro caliber quarterback. He looks slow out there, and part of it, like their offensive scheme, just didn't really fit with him. It looks like they're kind of running a lot of RPO action, quick pass game. That's just not his strength. He's like a throw it deep kind of guy. So I don't really know what they were trying to do this year, but yeah, it's really just embarrassing, man. I mean, you had the close loss versus Oregon, and then you kind of give up on your season. You think you're going to go out to UCLA and just kick them when, yeah, they've had a disappointing year, but Nico, I mean, he's still a talented player. He was, he went to a playoff last year, and then you lose there, and then you just kind of give up on the season, and that's the post reaction with James Franklin. You could kind of see it a little bit. Just if he felt like he was the right fit, and he just kept saying he bought in with the team. But man, that's sad, and it's really sad that Drew Allard's out for the year. I don't
Mhm.
know. Do you know if he's got eligibility for next year?
Personally, I think he's done. I think he's used up all of his eligibility. So um
So
maybe
UFL, here we come. No, I'm just kidding. He'll get picked up somewhere, but
well, maybe through somehow, some way, maybe he can get maybe a medical hardship waiver from the NCAA to come back for 1 year. I'm not exactly sure how that process works. Considering that it's so early in the season, he may be able to swing that. I don't know. I mean, that might explain why Case Keenum plays 6 years at Houston, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Aller's definitely going to go to the NFL. He's going to get picked up because he has the talent, he has the arm strength, he has some of the stuff that you're looking for in a pro quarterback. And like you said, Penn State just wasn't. They just weren't in sync. Like, I mean, even the games they did win, they really didn't look all that great in those games anyway. So I don't think it really, it didn't really matter. So, and like you said, James Franklin, he was brought in to replace Bill O'Brien, who had to come in and fill in for Joe Paterno after his forced retirement, so to speak. And here's the thing with James Franklin: Duke could not beat Ohio State. He beat Ohio State once, I think. He could not beat Ohio State. And he just could not launch that signature win every now and then when he needed it the most. Like, if you take a look at his career record, yes, they won a Big Ten championship under him. Actually, no, they won two because they won the Big Ten last year and then they won the Big. No, Oregon won the Big Ten. They made the Big Ten championship game. Either way, they won a Big Ten championship under James Franklin. They made it to the playoff this past season, but you could probably tell maybe within the Penn State community that with Drew Aller and the roster they had coming back, especially Nick Singleton at running back,
yeah,
they were expecting a Big Ten championship or at least a playoff berth. And three losses this early in the season, especially two really bad ones, Penn State is probably out of the playoff hunt, even if they somehow manage to revive themselves after Drew
yeah, they're
Aller's
100%
injury.
out. Even if they run the table, I think it's yeah, the way they lost both of those games, but yeah, it's just maybe take a couple years off, buddy, and go get your mind right. Do what Dan Mullen did. Which, speaking of that, he's a name that I saw today that could potentially be in the mix for that job. Honestly, he did pretty good at Florida, and Florida fans after this loss this weekend at Texas A&M are probably thinking, Man, I'd rather have Dan Mullen right now. So he's a he's undefeated 6-0 at UNLV. He's got a
Yep.
his name's going to be in the hat. Matt Rule, went to Penn State, coaches at Nebraska, but we'll kind of see what happens there. I've seen his name floated out a little bit. You got a lot of up and coming coaches as well, but I feel like Penn State's probably gonna, they're a caliber program where they can go snatch a guy from a bigger program. They don't necessarily need to try and go get a guy with potential that hasn't proved himself yet. So
I agree. And I mean, part of me hates it for James Franklin because before he was at Penn State, he was at Vanderbilt. And he proved that he could win at Vanderbilt. But for some reason at Penn State, yeah, you can win 9, 10, 11 games. But if you can't beat the best of the best at a blue blood program like Penn State, that's gonna cause some of those boosters and some of those bigwigs up there to be a little short with you, and their patience ran out.
yeah,
I mean, 12 years is a long time, but still.
yeah, he had a good run. Like you said, won a Big Ten championships, not multiple. Made it last year. Last year was a good season. It's just what were they 11-1, and they lost the Ohio State game.
I think they only lost one regular season game, and then they lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and then with that crazy playoff model, they kind of got lucky with Boise State and
Hmm.
SMU. I
Yep.
mean, at the end of the day, SMU was the team that made it over Alabama. You're kind of fighting pins and needles there, but really, Alabama was probably a more talented team. But they would have lost anyways as well. But
Well, you shouldn't have
uh,
lost to Oklahoma by 21.
exactly. So but SMU, they were a good football team last year, but talent-wise, Penn State, I mean, that's a game they should have won, and they did. And then you play Boise State, and yeah, Ashton Genty, but I mean, same thing. When they got now the Notre Dame game, that would have gotten him over the hump there, and I think that would have changed everything. But again, that's what happens. He was always in these games. He just lost them, and I think the Oregon game when they were actually favored and they didn't come through, I think it just took the gas out of it, and I think he was just done with it. So
Well, I mean, you look at, I mean, Penn State returned a lot of great talent, and they picked up a couple of really good players in the portal. So you're thinking, okay, they got a lot of returning starters. They managed to fill a couple of key roles through the portal, especially at wide receiver. So you're thinking, okay, this is the Penn State team that might do it, especially because Drew Aller has been there for quite some time. You're thinking, okay, this is the season they put it all together. And then after 6 weeks, you're 3-3 and you're winless in conference play.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, it's time. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, whoever goes there, I don't think it's going to take. There's not really a rebuild that needs to come into place. I think if you get the right coach, you can keep a lot of those players, keep them from transferring, and if you get the right coach, you can probably bring in some other talent as well. So I mean, they might have a chance to probably take 1 year to kind of get adjusted, but they'll I think they'll make the right move and kind of get that
Well,
home.
the thing is, in the Big Ten now, everybody is out to beat Ohio State. It's kind of like how it used to be Alabama in the SEC. Ohio State's the top dog. You got to beat Ohio State if you're going to get anywhere, and if you don't, then they're going to try and find somebody that can. So,
Exactly.
like I said, Franklin, I think, only beat Ohio State once in his entire 12 years at Penn State.
Yeah.
And that's just downright unacceptable for a Penn State, for the Penn State community to deal with.
Exactly. But we'll see. We'll keep everybody updated as we find out some news. But anyways, moving into the football that we had this weekend. Uh, gonna recap Alabama Missouri tomorrow with Troy. But Jared, man, I mean, as the Auburn fan, we're gonna get into
Why?
Georgia comes back, beats Auburn 20-10. Um, in your weekly, the refs come in and change the game for Auburn.
So,
Just a weekly occurrence.
so I will say this: I did get a little bit in my feelings about this, and usually I try to steer away from blaming the refs because honestly, officiating is extremely hard. Referees are human; they're not going to make every call out there. And not to mention, these guys do a pretty thankless job because if the referees do a really good job, no one says anything, but everybody knows who they are when they mess up. It's kind of like being a long snapper. So, um, and it's also one of those things where I feel like, yes, sometimes a call is missed, but you got to play through it. And that is not what Auburn did this weekend. Like in the first half, they absolutely dominated Georgia. Like they outgained Georgia like 260 to 90, something like that. Like in the first half, Auburn was moving the ball up and down the field. They were executing. They looked like a completely different Auburn team than the one I saw against Texas A&M. Like the offense actually had a rhythm. And then they get all the way down to the 1 yard line, third and goal, and that ball gets punched out. And part of me wants to say, yes, it was a touchdown after Lord knows how many minutes of review. Like that was by far the longest review I've ever witnessed. And then part of me also wants to go, well, just hang on to the football. And then there's no issue after that.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean ball security, you got to preach that, and you can't take any risks. And I think part of the problem is it was called a fumble on the field, which in that case, I don't think I heard a whistle. If that was
The,
the case,
the,
Georgia
the,
should
the,
have scored a touchdown on that play. But you know,
the,
I think they were trying to appease both crowds. But I mean, you're not officiating properly at that point. So
mhm.
it's kind of blatant. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where whatever you call on the field is probably going to be what it is since it was so close. But I agree, it was a touchdown. Soon as that thing hits the plane,
You heard it, folks. Bama fan agreed.
hey, tell it like it is, man. But I also am on the fact of it was called a fumble on the field, and it was so close that
Mhm.
theoretically you don't really know. I mean, you're kind of you have a good feeling that I think it's a touchdown, but but do you have a for sure fact? I mean, it was kind of difficult, and you're going frame by frame at that point. I mean, it's so quick, so it's kind
Mhm.
of hard to overturn that.
And the thing is, that was just one play. And the unfortunate thing about it is that we still had a whole nother half of football to go.
Yeah,
And the team just looked deflated after that. And if you're a coach, if you're a player, it's one of those things where you have to have short-term memory. As soon as the call is made, okay, that happened, turn it off, let's keep going. And the offense looked extremely flat in the second half. The Auburn defense has been on the field so dang much this season. I mean, these guys are fighting hard, and they're an extremely good defense. And I honestly am fearful of whatever team we play, and our defense actually gets the proper amount of rest. So, but I honestly don't know if it's Hugh Freeze or if it's the guys. But then again, Hugh Freeze is 1-12 against the AP top 25 during his time at Auburn.
yeah,
And like, I'm genuinely curious, is this the point where the Hugh Freeze experiment ends? Because coming into this season, I thought Hugh Freeze was going to have to win 8 or 9 games to save his job because Auburn hasn't had a winning season since 2020.
jeez,
Yeah, we haven't had a winning season since Gus. That's how long it's been. And we are not trending in the right direction. And like I said, Hugh Freeze, 1-12 against the AP top 25. His only top 25 win was last year against Texas A&M.
yeah, and that pretty much saved his season last year too.
Yes, it did. That saved him.
Kind of on a larger effect, the James Franklin effect. except he's except some of those years they're not supposed to win the games, a lot of the games. So, but I mean the recruiting, like yeah, at some point you gotta get it turned around. I think 8 wins is kind of that area where maybe if you go 7-5 and you have a like you said an A&M from last year in that mix, they might give him one more. He's going to be really hot, but they might give him one more year. But 6-6 isn't going to get it done.
Well, the way I see it with the rest of our schedule, I honestly think that we will probably be favored in every game the remainder of the year, except for the Bama game. because we play Missouri at home. We're favored in that. I'm honestly surprised. Maybe just because it's a home game. We also play Kentucky at home. Kentucky is currently in the running for the worst team in the SEC right now. We play Vanderbilt on the road. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to be favored in that one or not. I'm kind of waiting to see how Vandy responds after they lost to Alabama this past weekend
Yep.
to see to see where their mind's at. We got Arkansas on the road. I imagine we'll be favored in that game, even though Arkansas gave Tennessee all they could handle this past weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. They're Bobby Trino's trying to fight for a head coaching job.
Round two at Arkansas. Um,
Just don't
and
drive a
then,
motorcycle.
yeah, just don't drive a motorcycle and stay away from the interns. Um, and then we play Mercer in our tune-up game for the Iron Bowl. I genuinely hope we're favored in that game. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, realistically, and I'm not, if we finish 8-4 in the regular season, I think that would be huge considering how this season has started. And I thought we kind of turned the corner because week one, we played Baylor, who is a pretty good football team. We managed to close that game out, which I was like, okay, maybe this team knows how to close out close games. We're 0-3 in the SEC, and every loss has been by 10 points or less.
Yeah.
So, like, it's. And then also, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. No one runs up to the referee clapping.
Oh gosh.
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
he was 100%.
Yes.
Do you hear my clap?
If you're happy, you know it, call timeout.
No, that was no. I mean, that was embarrassing. I mean, I think he was just seeing what he could get away with, and they gave it to him. Like they weren't paying attention. They couldn't watch replay. I guess. I don't. I don't
So
know.
I don't think that's reviewable, but like so the fumble thing, I'm like, okay, they actually went back and they reviewed that. But when Kirby Smart was obviously calling timeout and he was like, no, I'm clapping, I'm like, yeah, these refs are
Yeah.
oh boy. Because instead of a delay of game penalty, the very next play, Georgia throws a pass that gets them inside the Auburn 5-yard line. So
Yeah.
that's my piece though about the referees. I'm at peace.
But yeah, you go back though. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of blown calls in that game, and would that made the difference? Could have, but we don't know for sure. It's a little different where like maybe you have a missed penalty on a game-winning touchdown or drive or something, but like you said, it was the end of the first half. Auburn lost by 10. That was 7 points. I mean, I still give the 3 to Georgia because if you score there, Georgia gets the ball back with better field position, not having to go 97 yards or whatever it was. So I kind of give that 3 to them and assume they're going to probably get that regardless. But and
But
make
it's
it
also
make it a closer game. But and there's an argument to be had. It takes the momentum away. But at the end of the day, like you said, you had a whole half of football to go out there and say, screw the refs, or like they screwed us, but we're gonna go out there and not let that affect us. We're gonna go out there and do what we did in the first half, and we'll beat them. But you didn't do it. They
yeah.
they let that take over their whole. I mean, they should have let it have a little passion under them and go out there and kick some ass.
Like I said, I mean, I don't know what it is about either Hugh Freeze and Brian Harsin teams when Brian Harsin was the head coach for 1.5 years. These teams just lack the killer instincts.
That's what it is.
And it's one of those things where I stayed up and I kept up with the Troy and Texas State game.
Yeah.
And Troy went down 21-0 in the first quarter. In the first quarter, they were down 21-0 and they came back and won 41-48 in overtime against Texas State. That was freaking amazing. But then again, that was also a team playing 2 full halves of football plus overtime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can be done. I mean, we've seen some wacky stuff in college football, and it's of if you get down or if a call doesn't go your way, it's how do you respond?
It's the whole thing, like
So,
Alabama this year, starting off the season with a loss to Florida State. Looks like oh, this season's over. But what did they do? They responded 5 consecutive weeks in a row. And just like in the middle of a game, you got to respond play after play, even if you got screwed. That reference obviously it was their fault, but same thing. If maybe it is your fault, maybe it's not your fault. Guess what? Next play, and you gotta find a chip. You gotta find a way to make it kind of help you in your favor a little bit rather than letting it defeat you. And I think
Florida
that's
State's
the lesson.
Florida State's hurting your strength of schedule. They've already lost 3 games.
Looks like I think Virginia did them in.
This weekend it was Pitt.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying after they
Oh
were,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think all off season they thought that Alabama was their season, and then they forgot they had a whole entire season left to play.
Right.
But uh, but anyway,
But but I mean, we got Mizzou coming up this weekend. That's going to be like I think that's going to be an indicator of how the rest of the season is going to go. If we come out against Mizzou, we play tough, we play hard, and we potentially win that game, then I think that could potentially right the ship, so to speak. But if we come out flat against Mizzou, it's going to be a long rest of the season for this Auburn team.
I agree with you, and I got the schedule pulled up here if you can see it. Uh, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what it is, man. I mean, you got the Missouri game. If you can find a way to upset Missouri, that would be a great win for Hugh Freeze. And then you think you probably have some momentum going into Arkansas and then Kentucky at home, and then that's 4 or 5. You're 6-3 at that point. So you got a chance, but it all starts this weekend
Yep.
with Missouri. Missouri's a great football team, can run the football. The positive for Auburn is that this weekend they showed Alabama kind of pressured Missouri to throw them to a victory, and they stayed in the game, and he made a couple plays, but uh, Prabula he was definitely pressured, and he had under 200 yards. So I mean, you can Auburn's got a great defense, so I think they have a good chance to win. And to be honest, I'm not shocked that they're favored. I mean, Auburn's, you know, 3 losses, but they've been competitive every step of the. I mean, it's just the offense, and they showed they have flashes of it in the first half. You just gotta come through.
I
But yeah,
mean,
that's where it starts right there.
Jackson Arnold still has yet to throw an interception. So
Yeah.
just that one fumble, that one stinking fumble.
But yeah, any more thoughts on it?
Nah, nothing more than I can really say. It's just that, like I said, we cannot come out flat against Missouri. And I honestly hope that the fans and everybody else will come out and support them. I mean, you lose a tough game like that in a rivalry game against Georgia at home under the lights. I can understand it be a little deflating, but there's still a lot of football left. And not to mention, there's always the Iron Bowl at the end of the season, which will be at home this year for Auburn. So the fans still need to come out, bring some of that good Jordan Hare juju with them because, there is the potential that Auburn can still have. I'm not going to say a great season, but they can still make a lot of progress and put themselves in a position to be in a better spot for 2020, 2026. I mean, I'm not saying this year is completely over, but a 3-loss team making the playoff is very much a long shot. So even if you do have 3 losses to all ranked opponents.
And it's possible. I mean, I think there's a call. I think there's a chance. Alabama was one spot away from doing it last year. They had some horrendous losses on their schedule. I think it's
Mhm.
possible, especially technically the predicament Auburn's in. If they were to just go on a 6-game win streak, that could bode pretty well. But then again, like we said, you got Arkansas, you got Kentucky on there. You don't have and then you got Mercer as well. You don't have a hefty schedule. Now, obviously, you'd be finishing it off with Alabama. So, assuming Alabama's a 1 or 2 loss team, that would be a great way to finish it. So, I mean, we think that's going to happen. Obviously, it's very unlikely, but
Mhm.
but I mean, you can't ever count them out. You know what I mean? So, uh, but it all starts this weekend with Missouri, and I think that's going to set the tone. I think if you lose that game, I don't know where it's going to go after that. But if you win, I think they're going to go on a little streak.
Well, I think if we lose against Missouri and if we probably lose in embarrassing fashion, the athletic director is going to have some hard talks with possibly parting ways with Hugh Freeze
Yeah, and
because
part of that is the rest of the landscape of college football. Like we started out, Penn State obviously fires their coach. Florida is on the verge. Arkansas is open. You, if you know it's not going to be the future, if you know Hugh's not the future, you might have to just part ways with him just because of the nature of all these other openings are happening. Because then what? If you fire him next year, there's always coaches available, but who are you going to get? You know what I mean? You want to be at the top. Auburn's going to want to be
Mhm.
at the top of that list for coaching hires, and I think they would be. You know, if they had a vacancy, I think they would attract candidates over in Arkansas. Um, Florida would be hard to compete with, but yeah,
Well, I tell you who right now that I would absolutely love to write a blank check for is Kurt Signetti at Indiana. I would write that guy a blank check right now and be like, "Sir, name your price. Come to Jordan Hare, show us what you got. Because if you can win in Indiana, I think you can win anywhere."
he's got moxie too. He's got some funny takes. Of course, he's got some idiotic takes as well with the whole SEC schedule, which hilariously is biting them in the butt now that Alabama or that the SEC went to a 9 game schedule and then
Mhm.
plus a non-conference game, which they've cut out. So I really hope the Big Ten initiates that and demands that their teams have a Power Four conference opponent that they have to face in the non-conference. But I think they'll come around to it. Um, but yeah, but he's pretty hilarious. So but he's tough too. He just blankly says we kick ass. I mean, he's got that mentality that players want to be around, and that it's just positive vibes. I mean,
Well, I mean that.
he's ready to go out there and kick ass. He doesn't look Hugh whenever he went on the sidelines after that egregious call. Yeah, justifiably you're going to be mad, but just the way he looked like he was
he looked like he was done.
defeated. Yeah, he looked like he was defeated, and that's you want somebody that's angry but also confident in that moment. You can't blame him for being mad about it, but you want a little more confidence, and I just don't know. I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, but that's why, like I said, I look at what's going on in Indiana right now. I mean, Indiana went on the road. They didn't beat Oregon at home. They went on the road and beat a very good Oregon team by 2 scores in their home stadium. That's not easy to do, and it still doesn't feel right saying Indiana and Oregon is a conference game, but yet here we are. Um,
There we go. And that kind of defies all the odds. Usually, I don't know what the statistic was, but the teams that are traveling coast to coast, it's severely under 500. But
just like at Penn State.
yeah, yeah. Look at that. I mean, I wasn't as surprised in that one. I'm not surprised they struggled, but anyways, I mean, Indiana 30-20, and really, if it wasn't for the pick six, that's like 30-13. I mean, Indiana dominated that football game.
Oh
Oregon
no,
had
Indiana.
a 40-yard touchdown from Dante Moore, but Dante Moore struggled, multiple interceptions.
Mhm.
Indiana is a legit force. And do they play Ohio State? I
I don't
don't
think they play
think
Ohio State in the regular season. I think they're currently on a collision course for the Big Ten championship game if they stay undefeated. I think that Indiana's biggest test for the remainder of the season is going to be Penn State, and that's if Penn State gets their act together.
Yeah, I'll pull up their schedule real quick.
Oh, you got to be careful. UCLA's on there. I see UCLA.
Yeah, Nico, baby. I mean, he might. I mean, yeah, you got some Michigan State. They lost this weekend. They're a decent football team. Nico, maybe a chance, but both of those games are at home. Maryland's going to be a tough game, but again, I mean, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. You finish off the year with three
dude,
sure,
was
sure wins.
dude, the wheels have fallen off at Wisconsin. They got shut out by Iowa this
And,
weekend.
that could be another job opening as well. I mean, gosh, I don't know if I've ever seen a year with this many job openings potentially.
Especially this early in the season because Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Penn State, UCLA, like all of those are going to be hiring new head coaches this offseason. So,
Yeah. Um,
and
yeah,
then who knows what job openings will come open in the SEC? Arkansas, there's one already. So,
early Florida. But
yep,
yeah,
yep.
no, I mean, I really think Indiana should go 12-0. There's, there's a chance where maybe they go 11-1, but I mean, I think with that win at Oregon, I think Oregon's still going to, peel off some wins, and I think that's going to get them with a home game at least in the playoff. Um, so no, Indiana looks like they are set up pretty nice.
Well, their quarterback is Fernando Mendoza, and he's a transfer from Cal. I got to see him live last year because he was playing for Cal last year, and I went to the Auburn game. They're playing against Cal last year.
Yeah,
He's a really good football player. Like he takes care of the football. He reminds me of a John Mateer before he hurt his thumb. Uh, somebody who is going to get you what you need. And he made some really good throws against Oregon this past weekend. So Indiana's got a really good QB in Fernando Mendoza.
yeah, and but I mean, we'll see where it takes them. But that defense looked legit.
Hmm.
Old Oregon, and I mean, we gotta think. Well, I mean, we'll see what Oregon is, but now that Penn State, I mean, and part of the reason why Penn State's fallen off the wheels is because they lost to Oregon. But I mean that win over Penn State does not look glorious now, and they, their offense really wasn't clicking in that game, and then now they kind of struggled this weekend. I mean, are they really what we thought they were? And I mean, they played Oklahoma State. Their coach got fired, um, and they blew them out. But you know, they blew out Oregon State. We really don't know how good Oregon is, and that's going to be something to watch out for. I don't know if I would just punch them into the Big Ten. I mean, I probably wouldn't. It's probably going to be Ohio State versus Indiana. It's kind of what it's
Well,
looking.
well, well, I'm curious if Oregon and Ohio State play in the regular season this year because I think they played in the regular season last year. Oregon beat them in the regular season, but then Ohio State beat them in the playoff.
Yeah, Ohio State,
So,
Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan.
oh, never mind. So they don't play Oregon. Okay, so
Yeah,
that makes Oregon's path to the playoff look a little easier because when it comes down to the Big Ten, I mean Ohio State's the clear number one right now. Defending national champions, undefeated, playing solid football. It's not glamorous football, but it's still solid football. And then Indiana's making a case that they're number two in the Big Ten, and that's not easy. And then Michigan, they were trying to work their way back, but they went on the road and they lost to USC this weekend.
yeah.
And US,
He's got a good football team. They beat Notre Dame.
yep.
I mean, they beat Michigan. They got Notre Dame this weekend. Is what I meant there. But if they have an opportunity, if they beat Notre Dame, I mean, they're gonna be a serious contender. And Oregon, to my knowledge, they do play USC and Washington every year. So those are the last two games of the year, and I think but USC is obviously going to be a tough one, but Washington on the road, it's a sneaky game that gave Ohio State some trouble. So um,
I still can't believe we say Washington and Ohio State is a conference game. That still boggles my mind.
unbelievable. They got to figure something out with that. I mean, you're at 18 teams, may as well add two more,
Why not?
and two more West Coast, and just let them kind of play each other. But
They need to get they need to get rid of Stanford and they need to get rid of Stanford and Cal in
yeah,
the ACC and send them back to the Pac-12
the new Pac-12 with Boise State,
and Texas State.
Texas State, baby. But but yeah, no, another great weekend. Troy and I are gonna talk Bama, Missouri tomorrow, and then later this week we'll come out with some predictions on the games next week. I mean,
About
you
to
got a
say
lot
for
of good games in the SEC. You got LSU Vanderbilt. That is a sneaky 11 o'clock game.
ooh,
You got Alabama Tennessee third Saturday in October.
have your cigars ready.
Have your cigars ready, baby. You got them. But and then you have game day 2:30 Georgia Ole Piss.
Now that one I'm very interested to see because Ole Miss struggled with Washington State this weekend. So that could be very interesting, even though their quarterback is, I think, he's a pretty dang good ball player. And he's a great story because he started that buried on their depth chart and he managed to work his way up to be their starter. So I think his name's Trinidad Chambliss, the
Yep.
quarterback at Ole Miss. So that'd actually be a really fun story to watch. And I'm kind of jealous of y'all right now because y'all's cigar game is Tennessee. You know who Auburn's cigar game is?
Who?
LSU, and we don't play them for a couple more years.
Not next year, 2027.
No.
Uh, well, yeah, well, that's it for tonight. We'll get back tomorrow. And Jared, thanks for coming on, buddy.
No problem.
Peace.